Hey, what is going on everybody, and welcome back for another Fallout 4 Mods Weekly. I know we're a couple days late, but like I've been saying for the past couple weeks, a little bit busy right now, so I get to it when I get to it, but I want to ensure that the finished product is as good as it can be and not completely rushed, so sorry about that, but moving on. We have some really cool mods this week, a lot of cool stuff coming out, and having it delayed a couple days means more mods can come out, so we can take a look at a few more that maybe we wouldn't have seen prior. So, for starters, we have the Alien Minigun by Soroka90. This is a mod we actually did a full review of on the channel, and it is a really cool energy weapon. I really like the style of it. It fits the Alien style very, very well. The color scheme is reminiscent of the Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas style Alien blasters with the silver and blues, so I really appreciate that. If you are using the Creation Club content that has the additional alien weapons, I feel like this one suits those pretty well and fits right along with that kind of style. And I don't think I've ever seen anybody attempt to make an alien-style heavy weapon for a Fallout 4 mod. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is the first. Now, as for the weapon itself, it is very, very cool. A little bit inaccurate, but it shoots out so much of that alien blaster that it kind of compensates for it pretty well, much like the other miniguns in Fallout 4. This weapon actually introduces its own ammo type, which can be crafted at the chemistry station, and if you want to find this thing, you will find it the same place you'll find the vanilla alien blaster. You head over to the alien cave, and it'll be sitting there on a table. But make sure you grab that alien blaster while you're at it, that way you have something nice to pair it with. Altogether, this is just a really cool energy weapon mod. Not a ton in the way of modifications, but I don't feel like it really needs it. It has just about as much as the base minigun in the standard game, and I feel like there's not a whole lot that the Soul Survivor could do to an alien minigun in the first place, so I think it works perfectly. Really cool one, and currently only available on PC. For our second mod today, we have a really cool utility mod, and that is going to be the Quick Weapon Swap by Ayelius and Scrivener7. So, when we head up to a weapon on the ground now, typically you would just press E and select it. But now we have an additional option which says R for swap. So as we can see, I have no weapons equipped currently, and if I press R, it takes the weapon and puts it immediately into my hand. This could be very useful if you're using something like Fall Souls and you don't have time to go mess around in your inventory. This will just immediately equip the better weapon to your hand. And this also works if you're moving from weapon to weapon. So here we have a shotgun on the ground, and it immediately switches to that shotgun. Very useful, very cool, and very fast. And this also has Xbox controller support. So if you have your Xbox controller plugged into your PC and that's how you play, it will also use the X button or your reload button. And as you can see, it works for just about every weapon, modded or not. Although it did seem to get a little bit confused there when we have two weapons of the same type. So the Watts laser rifle and the Watts laser pistol are the same base weapon, even though they are different weapons, so it got a little confused and picked up the old one. So be careful when switching to a weapon that is already in your inventory. But if we keep moving, grab a new weapon, it works perfectly fine, and this even works for melee weapons. Really cool. And this thing also has MCM integration, so if we head to the mod config menu, and we head over to the quick weapon swap, we have a couple of options. So first we have the drop current weapon, and this determines whether or not your weapon is dropped. So I had it set to never, which is why when I picked a weapon up, it swapped it and put my original weapon into my inventory. However, you can change that to always, which will make it always drop. So when you switch weapons, it'll drop your current weapon on the ground, or when over encumbered. So if you're using a lower tier weapon and you're really trying to save the weight and you come across a better weapon, which is probably pretty useful in the early game, you can have this enabled and you'll just swap out weapons on the fly, which is also a pretty useful tool. Now, there is also a setting for special treatment for melee weapons. Now, this is going to differentiate melee weapons from regular weapons. So if we turn this on, and this only works if you have the drop current weapon set to on, so you have to have that set. And then when we head over here, if we were to swap out for a rifle, it will function exactly the same. But if we were to swap out for a melee weapon, it won't drop the rifle on the ground. So if you have the dropping feature turned off, then you won't notice a difference whenever it comes to differentiating melee weapons. But when you have it turned on, as you can see when we switch to a rifle, it will drop the melee weapon, but when we switch back, it won't drop the rifle. And then the last feature is pretty self-explanatory. That is the auto draw weapon feature, which we have set to on. This will make it so that if your weapon is put away and you pick up a weapon off the ground, it will automatically draw it and point it at whatever you're looking at. Whereas if you have this disabled, it will instead just pick up the weapon but not draw it. Pretty simple. Very cool mod, and currently only available on PC. Up next, we have the SteamPunk Revolver and Armor by MattSP89, which we actually did cover on our channel back when it was just the SteamPunk Revolver, but now it has some armor and some other additional updates, so let's check that out. For starters, the Revolver has gotten some nice little animation tweaks, so now the cocking hammer is actually fixed. So let's take a look and listen. Very nice. Now the hammer actually moves as intended, which is pretty cool, and I still love the fact that this uses the railway rifle firing sound. Very steampunk and very cool. We also got some new steampunk armor sets that now come with this. Now I don't believe these are modifiable at the armor workbench, however all of these things can be crafted at the chemistry station. To craft the revolver itself, you craft it at the SteamPunk Revolver section, and then for all of the new armors, you get it at SteamPunk Gear. Here we have the female steampunk outfit, the male steampunk outfit with prosthetic arm, the steampunk backpack with air filter, which we currently have equipped, the steampunk gas mask with bowler hat, the steampunk gas mask with helmet, and the steampunk goggles. The steampunk aesthetic may not be for everybody, but if it is for you, this is definitely a cool mod to add to your arsenal. Not only you get the weapon, but also a few armor options, which is really nice to have. Personally, I really like the mask and helmet that are included with this set. Really cool. Even if you don't use anything else, I think that that's a pretty cool addition, and suits some of the Fallout armors pretty well. Either way, this is some beautifully crafted stuff, and it's one you should definitely try out, and it's available for PC as well as Xbox One. Moving on, we have another really cool mod that we actually did a full review of on the channel, and that is AnotherOne Armor Plate by AnotherOne, aka RetroPaladin. This is a very interesting and cool idea for a mod, and one that I really like. This adds armor plating, and they come fully equipped with custom animations. So these plates will give you some extra protection and can be worn with just about any armor piece. So if you're trying to avoid the ballistic weaves and still get yourself a nice little bit of sort of immersive, lore-friendly protection, then this is definitely a route that you can go. You could even slip this under some really standard clothes and still be able to get a little bit more protection in case you like a certain outfit in the game. So all you have to do is equip this thing, and you will play the animation, unzip whatever you're wearing currently, slap this in, and then zip it back up. And the same goes for unequipping. This mod is a really cool idea for a temporary armor setup. Now, if we could add in some armor degradation, maybe these things actually break down over time, it would give you a reason to go and get more of these and keep equipping them. Definitely a super unique idea, and reminds me a lot of the way that armor plates work in the Call of Duty Warzone game mode. So, really interesting, really cool, and perfectly executed. So, really cool mod you should try out, and currently only available on PC. For our next mod, we have Pine Forest Redone by Zorak912. Now, this mod does a whole lot more than just adding pine trees. It actually adds a lot of scenic stuff, as well as some other grasses, and a mist that is constantly moving through these forests. One big thing that I noticed is it decreases visibility, but in a good way. It blocks off these giant lines of sight because there are these really big pine trees, and it does so even more with the mist. So whenever you're patrolling through the forest, you may get a couple of sneak attacks from enemies that maybe you didn't see coming, which is a pretty neat effect, and definitely good if you're going for a sort of horror vibe. Pair this with the right ENB, and you can have a really good looking game. Now, whenever a mod like this comes out, the biggest question I feel like that is on everybody's minds is, how is the performance hit? Well, currently I am running a PC build with a 3080 and a 5800X, and I will say that I did receive some frame loss, and I think that's kind of to be expected with an environment mod like this one, where normally I'd be getting anywhere between 120 and 144 frames, I would be getting 80, and if I got to a pretty significant vantage point or had some combat happening or just things moving around me, I would sometimes dip below 60. However, if your rig can handle something like this and you don't mind the performance dip, this is a really beautiful looking mod. I mean, if you just look at the shots on screen, there's some really cool scenic effects. So it's really one of those things that you just kind of have to balance out yourself. And I'm sure that you can optimize the game a little bit better than I have with your choice of mods and what all you're running, as well as some tweaking in the INI files. You could probably get this thing running pretty smooth. Overall, really cool looking mod, and I like this one a lot. And at this moment, if you want to try it out yourself, it is currently only available on PC, but the link will be in the description. And for our final mod today, we have Surplus Ammo Boxes by Willock, LarannKiar, DieFeM, and SKK50. So this mod is going to add a pretty familiar ammo type, which is going to be surplus ammo, kind of similar to how we had it in Fallout New Vegas. However, it does behave a little bit differently. So to show you how the mod works in Fallout 4, we head over to the ammo section of any vendor. We scroll down, we have our regular ammo types, and then we have ammo box surplus. So here we have 38 surplus, 50 caliber surplus, 10mm. Any vanilla and DLC ammo will get a surplus ammo, which is really nice. However, it does not apply to modded in ammos, at least not yet. Maybe there will be patches at some point in the future, which would be pretty cool. But for now, it is as follows. So, the way that it had worked originally in New Vegas is if you picked up surplus ammo, you'd get it for really cheap, you'd get a lot of it. However, it would be worse ammo, so it would do less damage and also deteriorate your weapon faster. But we don't really have those features in Fallout 4, so here's how they work here. Now, you have the option to buy ammo boxes, which will contain 100 rounds when purchased, but they are available at a cheaper price. So if you're really into the barter game and buying your stuff rather than just looting it out in the world, you can buy individual rounds if you don't have the money to spare. However, if you have enough to drop on a box of 100, you can get it at a discounted price, which is pretty interesting. It's like buying in bulk in the real world, and has since been updated to include several different types. So there's the ammo box, which will give you 100 rounds. Whenever that contains a ballistic ammo, it will show up in the little ammo crate, which is really cool. And then if it is an energy type, it will show up in this little box here. So these are the ammo boxes. That means 100 rounds. However, you can also get ammo pouches, which will give you 50 rounds at a discounted price, which is also pretty cool. And there are also ammo crates, which will give you 200 rounds. However, I have not been able to find any of those on a vendor yet, but they are out there and you can find them. They will have 200 rounds at a discounted price, which is really great if you're trying to buy a ton of ammo. This is just a really cool little quality of life mod, and I like it a lot. Definitely one you want to try out, and currently only available on PC. So those are some of the really cool mods that have come out this week, and I hope you enjoyed. If you like any of these mods, go out there and support the mod authors. It is because of them that we get to enjoy Fallout so late in its life cycle, and they work tirelessly to provide us with amazing mods that just make the game better. So support them in any way you can, go endorse their mods, and show them that you really appreciate it. And if you enjoyed this video, drop a like, subscribe, all that stuff that gets us into the algorithm and gets more recommendations to the people that are looking for them. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Peace!